6, what we're going to do is, this is a perpendicular bisector of a triangle. So that means that this side is congruent to this side. So I'm going to equal them to each other. And I'm going to plug it back in to find the length of CD. So 10x plus 7 equals 4x plus 55. I'm going to minus 7 to both sides. So minus 4x minus 4x. 6x equals 48. Divide by 6. X equals 8. So I'm going to take my x and I have to plug it back in because I need to find the length of CD. So I'm doing 10x plus 7. So 10 multiplied by 8, add 7. 10 times 8 is 80. 80 plus 7 is 87. So that's the length of CD. For number two is talking about circumcenters of triangles. A circumcenter of a triangle, the key for circumcenters have congruent hypotenuses. So if you look at your picture, it's kind of hard to tell which pieces are the same and which pieces are not. Circumcenters specifically have congruent hypotenuses. So 8.2 is right here. That goes to a vertice over here, and that goes to a vertice over here. All of these are the same number. So I can move 8.2 to each one of these lines. 6.5 cannot move, even though it kind of looks like it can. So from G to C is 8.2. I need to find A to E, which is this whole outside length. So to find this outside length, I'm going to have to use a Pythagorean theorem because I'm going to need to find AF or FE, and whatever I get, I'm going to have to double it because those pieces are congruent. So if I color in my little right triangle, 6.5 is the height. My hypotenuse is 8.2, and I'm finding, I'll call it B. So I'm going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 6.5 to the power of 2 plus b squared equals 8.2 squared. So 6.5 to the power of 2 is 42.25. 8.2 squared, 67.24. My pen's running out of ink. So because I'm finding one of the legs, I have to minus 42.25 to both sides. I have b squared equals 24.99. And if I square root it, you get 4.9 repeating. So we're just going to round to 5 because the 9 would make the other 9 go up, which would make the other 9 go up, which would make the 4 go up to a 5. So this piece is 5 and this piece is 5. So the whole length is 10. For number 3, it's centroids. Centroids are what we did earlier this week. This is splitting into 3s because these are not right triangles. You can tell it's not perpendicular lines. So we have J to N. This whole thing is 63. JL is 42. So if we think about this piece is larger than this. It's not splitting in half. This represents 1/3 of the line, 1/3 of the line. This represents 2/3 of the line. So if I divide by 3, because there's 3 pieces in my line, I get 21. 21 represents each one of those pieces. So 21 is here, and there's technically 2 21s over here. So J to Q is one of the answers I need, which is 42. JP is this piece outside. This is not splitting into thirds. This is a midpoint made by the median of the triangle. So we're going to split it in half to make 21 because the whole thing is 42. So I split it in half to make 21. 4, I think, is the hardest problem on here. This is in centers, and especially because the picture is not drawn to scale. So what you need to know about incenters have congruent heights inside the triangle. The hypotenuses are not the same length. So this time your heights are the same length, which this is where it's not drawn to scale. If you look at these heights, they look like they are different because it's not drawn to scale. So 4.5 is here. I can move 4.5 here, and I can move 4.5 here. All of those lines are 4.5. The 37 technically is an angle. I can move the 37 over here because it's an angle bisector. This is 44. I can move 44 over here because it's an angle bisector. So I need to find the measure of angle BGE. We're looking for the middle letter. G goes in a bunch of different directions, so that's why we have to look at the other two letters. B to G to E is talking about this angle being created right here. If you notice, this represents one of the little right triangles in the picture. So if I draw it off to the side, I have a right angle here because if this side's 90, this side's 90. The top is 37. I'm trying to find this angle right here. A triangle adds to make 180. So I'm doing 37 plus 90, and I'm subtracting it from 180 because some other angle, I'll call it X, some other angle needs to add to make 180. So if you subtract 37, add these and subtract it from 180, you end up getting 53 degrees. For A to F is this piece. There is no number down here, so we need to figure it out using the Pythagorean theorem. So if I shade in this triangle, I know the height is 4.5. I know the C, the diagonal, is 14.2. So I'm using the Pythagorean theorem to find A to F. The height is 4.5. The hypotenuse is 14.2. So I'm trying to find the base or the bottom. This is either A or B. So I'm doing 4.5 to the power of 2 plus b squared equals 14.2 squared. 4.5 squared is 20.25. 14.2 squared is 201.64. I'm minusing this to both sides, and then I'm square rooting. So B is approximately 13.5. On the back, you have to determine if these distances represent a triangle or not. So what we have to do is we have to take the two smallest numbers and add them together. If it's greater than the third, it makes a triangle. 3 plus 3 is not bigger than 6. That is not true. So it does not make a triangle. If I add 4 and 13, that makes 17. 17 is larger than 15. So that does make a triangle. If I add 3.4 and 4.9 because they're the smallest, that is going to be 8.3, which is not bigger than 8.7. So this is not a triangle. And then the last one, 21.23 plus one of the smallest, they're both the same. So I'm going to add it to the first one, 81.23. If I add those together, that is greater than the third automatically because no matter what, they're the same. So I'm adding something to the other one. For number 6, this wants to know the range of possible values for the third side because it represents the distance to all the different Chick-fil-A's. So I know two of the lengths. I need to find this distance. What is the possible distance of the third side of the triangle? So to find the range of possible acceptable answers, all you have to do is subtract them. So if you subtract them, and you don't want to put the negative number, so if you subtract over here, this is subtract, you get 460. On the larger side, the maximum, all you have to do is add them. So if you add them, you get 32,140 feet. Number 7, you want to compare the sides JK and LM. and you're given angles. 32 degrees is across from JK, and 28 degrees is across from LM. The smaller the angle, the smaller the side. Because 32 is bigger, that means J to K is going to be the larger side. So your alligator is going to be eating JK, or you could put answer B if you want to use these. But it's going to be eating JK because 32 is larger than 28. If we compare JL to LJ, JL is here. LJ is the same line, just backwards. If they're the same line, then it's automatically going to be equal, or option C. Because they're equal, because it's the same line, just backwards. For number 8, it's the same idea. You're looking at the side lengths and finding the corresponding angles. So this wants to order the angles from smallest to largest. So I'm looking at the smallest side. The smallest side is 8. Across from 8 is B. So the smallest is B. Then I look at the next smallest number. I have 10 and 12. 10 is smallest. I'm looking across from that. So that's C. And then the last one, the largest, is 12, which is across from A. So this one should be answer D. Number 9 says, Ms. DeMasso is designing a triangular pizza and a pizza box. The vertices of her triangular pizza box are blah, 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 blah on her template. She needs to know where the center of gravity is on her pizza box so her employees don't drop the box. Where should the employee place their hand so the box doesn't fall? So when we're trying to find the center of gravity or the center of balance, the balancing point of a triangle, that's finding the centroid. So we're going to take all of our coordinate points. -3, 4. Oh, crap. I'm going to put it down here. 5, 7, and 1, -2. And we're going to add up the x's and we're going to add up the y's. So if I add up my x's, I have -3 plus 5, which is 2, plus 1 is 3. 4 plus 7 is 11. I'm minusing 2, which is 9. And then you're finding the average of this. So you have to just divide by how many coordinates there are. And because we're talking about triangles, there's 3 coordinates. So if I divide by 3 for each one of these, you get 1 and 3. So on a graph, it would be at 1, 3. 10 wants to know the range of possible values for x. So this is kind of like 7 and 8. If you look at your angles that are given, or your sides, your side is 8.2, which is across from 11x minus 4. This one's 11.7, which is across from 84. This was the bigger side, so automatically 84 is the bigger angle. 8.2 is smaller, so whatever we get for here has to be smaller than 84 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these, we're going to set them equal to each other, but 84 is going to be our maximum possible value. Whatever we get has to be less than that number, because 84 is going to be the bigger angle no matter what. So we need something smaller than what's going to get us to 84. So I'm going to set them equal. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I have 11x equals 88. I'm going to divide by 11 because it's a two-step equation. X equals 8. So this represents the maximum allowable answer to equal to 84. So I need something smaller than 8 to be less than 84. So this is your maximum, max. So the one that shows 8 being the largest number is going to be A. And then last but not least, last question is midpoints, or not midpoints, mid segments of triangles. So this distance is definitely smaller than this distance. We are not going to equal them to each other. We have to take the middle and we're going to have to multiply it by 2 because it represents half the length of the outside of the triangle. So we're going to multiply the mid segment by 2, which is 2x minus 14. Then it's going to be equal to the outside, which is x plus 2. So I distribute my 2. I get 4x minus 28. And now I'm just going to add 28 because it's negative. I have 4x equals x plus 30. minus x to both sides. So I get 3x equals 30. Divide by 3, x equals 10. And then I have to take that to plug it back in to find RS. RS is right here, which is represented by 2x minus 14. So I'm substituting 10 back in. So 2 times 10 minus 14. So we have 20 minus 14. So SR is equal to 6.